1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mike Hedding here, coming to you today with a gospel mandolin lesson. We're going to look at the classic old hymn, Just a Closer Walk with Thee. This song has a great, beautiful old melody, and we're going to work on it in the key of G. We're going to start by playing just the basic melody in a lower octave, get the notes down, work on our right hand, work on adding some tremolo to spice up that great melody. And then for the second solo, we're going to look at kind of bluegrassifying the basic melody. We're going to kick it up another octave so it pops out a little bit more. So we're going to play the melody up another octave, add some double stops, so playing two notes at the same time, add some more alternate picking, kind of fill it out a little bit more. That's what we're going to do for the second solo. I'm going to break both solos down note for note, and then also show you a bunch of backup I would do for this song. So this song has some cool chords. It's got some seventh chords. It has a C sharp diminished, which can sound kind of cool, and I'll break all those chords down, how to do easy two-finger strumming versions of all the chords, and how to do bluegrass chop chords on all of them. And if you're watching the preview of this lesson, you can head over to my website, MikeHeddingMusic.com, and you can grab the full lesson. You'll get access to watch all the videos, and you can download the tabs and the practice tracks. All right, here's Just a Closer Walk with Thee in the key of G. All right, let's start breaking down this basic melody to Just a Closer Walk with Thee in the key of G. We're going to start by learning the melody in the lower octave. And I think that's a good spot to start, just by learning the basic melody. And I'm going to play the longer notes with tremolo, so that rapid up and down picking. And I'll also show you how to do it without that if you don't like that. I'm not going to really break down in this lesson how to do the tremolo, but you can check out another lesson I did called Tremolo Basics if you want a more in-depth lesson on how to do that technique. But it's basically the mandolin equivalent of a long bow on the violin, and it works really great on a song like this where we have lots of long notes. Okay, let me play the first four measures and then we'll start breaking it down. Here we go. Do that a few times. One more time, just a little faster. Okay, so we're going to start in measure 1. There's no pickup to this basic melody. We're going to start with the open D string, and we're going to do a dotted half note. So this song is in 4/4 time, so 4 quarter notes per measure. A half note would normally get 2 beats. A dotted half note gets 1.5 times that amount, so it'd be 3 beats total. 2 beats plus half of 2 is 1, so 2 plus 1 is 3, and that's where we get the dotted half note is 3 beats. So we're going to hit that open D string, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And if you want to do it without the tremolo, you could just play that one long note, 1, 2, 3, and you just have to count in your head. And lastly, if you're having a ton of trouble getting the timing of that down, you could play it as quarter notes, and then you'll hear how it fits in. So play the 3 quarter notes and you'll hear the timing. So 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. If you're doing it correctly, all those 3 things should fit in the same amount of time. Okay? And I recommend counting along or tapping your foot. you know, this is definitely one of those ones where you're going to have to count carefully, and it's a really good song to practice your counting. So 1, 2, 3, and then cut that off, and then we're going to play with our first finger the first fret of that same D string, and then slide your first finger up to the second fret. That's going to go into measure 2, and then reach your second finger down to the 4th fret of the low string, the G string, and then open D string again, and then 6th fret, and then we're going to get down to this 5th fret on the G string for a whole note. Okay, let's play that whole part together because it kind of connects together. So we have. Okay, so let's do that a few times. Let's just do it without the tremolo for a second. And one thing you can do there is kind of, I like shortening those notes. You play kind of a long note, and then you cut off the pressure on these to make them a little bit shorter. So that's kind of how I do it there. And just play it as many times as you need to. You can also just play measure 2 on its own. I'm also playing measure 2 with all down strokes to make sure I don't rush through those quarter notes. So, and then that's measure 3. Let that ring out for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, let's play that first 4 measures. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So not too hard there. Lastly, one thing you could do, a little more advanced technique, I didn't write this into the tab, but you could definitely do this if you wanted, would be like adding some little slides. You know, maybe something like that. Remember, we're mimicking a voice here, and a voice doesn't have frets, right? So when we're doing those kind of chromatic, you know, those kind of chromatic lines, again, sometimes if you were singing it, you might slide into those notes, or kind of, they call it playing between the cracks on the fiddle, where you're not playing one note or the other note, you're kind of sliding in between them. And that's something we technically can't really do on the mandolin because we have frets. We only have those 2 notes. We don't have those sounds in between like a fiddle or a voice would. But doing those little slides can help kind of imitate that, okay? So one more time, here we go. And then for measure 4, you're going to let that 5th fret on the low string ring out on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let the rest of that measure rest. And then we're going to go up to the open A string for measure 5 and play another dotted half note. So 3 beats. And down to the 5th fret on the D string. And then 4th fret on the D. Open D. 2nd fret. 5th fret. And then a little run 5, 2, open. And that's where we're really going to do our first, besides the tremolo, our first upstroke. So we have. And you'll also notice in measure 5, it's a similar timing to measure 1. We're playing that long dotted half note, a quarter note on beat 4, and then 4 quarter notes, 4 quarter notes, just like measure 1 and 2, same timing. The timing for measure 7 is 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. So again, similar thing there. We have to play those notes individually, where a voice might kind of slide in between those or bend in between those notes. So let's do that part again. So we have. One more thing you could do, and I didn't write this in the basic version, but if you want to play that open, instead of playing the open A string, you could also slide up from 5 to 7 on the D string, which would be the same note. And then you would kind of be droning the middle two strings, which can kind of fill it up. So I might do that if I was playing it, you know, so I would do. And then right here. So that's optional. But again, any of those open strings, you could go down and find that note on the string below it, which would be the 7th fret. You could even do it for the beginning too if you wanted to. So that's just a general technique for mandolin, is anytime you have an open string, you can find that note on the string below it at the 7th fret and then slide into it to fill it up. So that's something I'll do a lot, okay? So let's do measure 7 one more time. So we have, and then let measure 8 ring out just like measure 4. So we play into beat 1, 1, and then 2, 3, 4. And then measure 9 up to the 2nd fret of the A string with your first finger. Same timing, dotted half note, and then a quarter note on beat 4. And then 4 quarter notes again, 2nd fret again, 5th fret on the D, open A string, and then 2nd fret, and then open A string, and then 5th fret for a dotted quarter, or half note, excuse me. So again, these phrases kind of connect together, so I'd practice them one at a time. So measures 9 through 11 is. Okay, let's do that one more time. The other thing I'd practice there is kind of keeping your fingers hovering over the frets that they're going to be playing. You know, when you play that 2nd fret, resist the urge to have your 3rd finger kind of crunch back down here, because you kind of need to keep stretched out so you can do that. So if you kind of keep your 3rd finger hovering over that 5th fret, your 1st finger hovering over the 2nd fret, it's just going to make it that much easier. Again, another thing I might do there, I didn't put it in the tab, but slide into that 2nd fret from the 1st fret. That's the "I'll be satisfied as long" part, so. Any of those 2nd frets you could kind of slide in from 1 to 2. Again, just mimicking a voice or a violin. That's kind of what we're doing there. And then let that ring out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then rest on beat 2. Play that 5th fret again, 2nd fret on the D,